Hi everybody, I thought I would do a little crochet extra today to say thank you for helping me reach 50,000 YouTube subscribers. I'm just amazed, to be honest. I cannot believe 50. I just always imagine standing in a room with 50,000 people all watching me crochet, which is quite daunting, but I hope you enjoy my channel and I really appreciate your support. But today I thought I would share, as a little thank you, a stitch design. Now this stitch design here uses raised treble stitches amongst some double crochet stitches, and it's quite hard. So if you're really brand new to crochet, you might find this quite hard. So, but I don't say don't try, because you know you gotta try these things. But I'm going to show you today how to do this. So, and I'm going to start from the beginning, even though this is a really basic beginning. I'm going to show you from the very beginning. So I'm going to undo this and show you how to do this stitch. Okay. So I'm actually just using a DK light worsted weight yarn and a 4mm crochet hook, a G hook. Of course you can use any yarn and hook size that's suitable for the yarn you're using. And this actual stitch design I made into a bag, which hopefully over the top of this video you're now seeing a photo of that bag. Which is actually slightly easier to do because you're working in the round with this stitch rather than going backwards and forwards. But this is, I mean, you can just try this and make it into a little cardigan or just a simple washcloth or a scarf, anything you like. But the first thing to do is we're going to work to units of 4. So I'm actually going to crochet 41 chains, so we get 40, and then the one at the end just helps with turning. So chain to begin 41, so that's a units of 4 up to 40, and then an extra one at the end. Just chain 41, 3, 4, 38, 39, 40, 41. So it's a units of 4 plus 1. Okay, and then what we're going to do just for the edging is we're just going to work 1 double crochet in each chain along, but we do 1 double crochet in our second stitch from hook first. So our second stitch from hook, we don't count the loop on our hook. So there's our first stitch, there's our second stitch down. So in that second one we do a yarn over and do a double crochet. Like so. Then we do 1 double crochet in each chain to the end, so go into the next chain and do a double crochet, and then that should give us a stitch count of 40, which is our units of 4. So just 1 double crochet in each chain along, so yarn over to each chain. Just coming up to the last 2, 39 and 40. So I just worked 1 double crochet in the second stitch from hook, and then in each stitch across we've got a stitch count of 40. I've just done that because it creates a neater edge. It's easier to see the stitches, but you can do a double crochet foundation stitch, or you could just work the pattern straight into the chains. It's entirely up to you. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to chain 1 and not count that as a stitch, and then we're going to turn, and then into that first stitch there we're going to skip that first stitch. So I'm not going to do anything that one, we're going to go straight into the next stitch and do a double crochet. So skip that first one, then go into the next one and do a double crochet. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 2. So go into the next stitch and do a double crochet. And in the next stitch, do a double crochet. And then we're going to stop there because we're working in units of 4, where we skip 1, then we do 1 double crochet in the next 3. So that's our first set of 4. But what we need to do now is we need to work a treble crochet back into this first one, but we're going to work it around the front. So the first thing to do is yarn over twice to do a treble, and then we're going to turn our work like that to make it easier. Then find your first stitch there, and find your first stitch, there it is, and then we just grab our yarn and bring it through that first stitch. Then we do a treble crochet as normal, and to do a treble we just yarn over, pull through 2, then pull through 2, then pull through the last 2. So you're always pulling through 2 in stitches, double crochet bigger and up. Yeah, then we turn our work back and we go on to the next set of 4, and what we've basically done is that treble creates our first raised treble that goes horizontal diagonally across, but you can't really see it at the moment. So turning to go back, what we're going to do is then skip the next stitch, yarn over, skip the next stitch and do your 1 double crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3. So it's just normal double crochets. And then we need to do our treble in that skipped stitch again. So we yarn over twice, always yarn over, then turn. Now it's quite important to maneuver your yarn in a certain way now. So what we do is first of all we find our skipped stitch and let's put our hook in that skipped stitch. But what you want to do is, rather than just put it straight through to the back, is we want to put it through but bring it up in front. So your work is at the back, and then bring your yarn through that way, rather than going straight through and grabbing the yarn from there. We want to put the hook through the stitch and basically up through that gap, and then your yarn we bring through that way. It just means that the yarn doesn't get caught on your work, and it makes it easier to see the stitches when you go back the other way. So I'm going to bring that through and then do our treble again. So that's pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and there's our next one. And because of we pulled the yarn for a certain way, it just means that no yarn is caught here, and it just means our treble is nice and neat in the front. It doesn't really matter at the very beginnings because there's nothing really in the way. But then we turn back and we do the same thing again. So we skip the next stitch, yarn over, skip the next stitch, and do your 1 double crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, like so. And then we need to work our treble back in that skipped stitch. So we yarn over twice, turn our work, find that skipped stitch and put your hook through. But remember to bring it up through the front like that, so your work is at the back. We don't want to go to the back and grab, we don't want to do that. We want to just bend your work down and bring the yarn round that way instead, so it doesn't get caught. Bring that through, then just do your treble as normal by pulling through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and there's our next one, and you can start to see the initial design. And we just carry on doing that all the way across to the other end. So remember to skip 1, then 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we do our treble, so we yarn over twice, turn, find that stitch that we skipped. There he is. And remember to put your work to the back, make sure the yarn comes around the front like that. And then do your treble as normal. And then turn and carry on all the way to the end. So just repeat that all the way to the end. just come up to the last one, we skip the stitch and then do our 1 double crochet in the last 3. That's one right on the corner. And then we do our treble, yarn over twice, turn back, find that missing stitch. And remember to bring the hook in front of your work and the yarn in front. Bring that through and do your treble by putting through 2, pulling through 2, pulling through 2. So there we go. So there's our first row, which is not too difficult. I'd say the next one's slightly more difficult. So what we're going to do now is we're not going to chain 1 and turn, because by chaining 1 it just can end up confusing you more with stitches. So we are literally just going to turn our work. So you've finished. Where have we finished? We've finished in that direction. We've been going in that direction. So we're literally going to just turn. So you're probably still facing the way you've just finished doing your treble. And you should see you still have normal stitches on top. So if you ignore your treble there, your treble stitch ends there. So your first stitch is going to be there. That's the end of your treble. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again on the next one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all your stitches should still look normal on the top. So don't let your treble confuse you. The end of your treble is your first stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip that first stitch and then do our 1 double crochet in the next 3. So we're going to just literally turn without doing a chain 1, keeping an eye for your first stitch, the end of that treble, skip it, and then in the next stitch we do our double crochet. And then we do 1 double crochet in the next one as well. Then 1 double crochet in the next one as well. So we've done our 1 double crochet in the next 3. Then what we need to do is we need to find that treble, which can be a little confusing at the very beginning, but it should be there. The easiest thing to do is find where you just worked into 1, 2, 3, and then just next to that will be the one that you skipped there. So what we need to do is work our treble into there. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over twice and we're going to turn, and then there's our stitch. There it is, just there, and we're just going to go straight in. You don't need to worry about which side the yarn is or anything, you just literally work into there and do your treble. It doesn't matter on the ends. Then turn back, and there's our first set of 4 there, and you can see the treble starting to go in the opposite direction. Then what you want to do is find your next 4 stitches. So there was not the last one you worked into, because the last one you worked into was your treble, but your last one you did the double crochet in was there. So the next 4 from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, you need to skip that next one. Then in the next one, so skip 1, then in the next one we do a double crochet, then a double crochet in the next one, and a double crochet in the next one. And now we need to work our treble back in the one that we skipped, but we have to be careful how we work the yarn now because we're not at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over twice, and then what we're going to do is sort of turn on its side really, because what you want to do is to put your hook not from the back but in front. If you put your work to the back again, similar to what we did on the first row, put the work to the back, find that missing stitch. So there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the skipped one there. You need to put your hook through the big gap and then through the stitch from the back, like so. And then you can sort of turn your work, bring the yarn through that stitch and do your treble. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So again, you're pushing your work out of the way to work through that stitch so your yarn doesn't get caught up on the top, and then it's nice and clean treble, raised treble, and we'll do the same again. So we find the next 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, there they are. So you want to skip that next one, skip, and in the next one do your double crochet in the next one, double crochet in the next one, and then we need to do our treble in that skipped one. So there's our skipped one there, that stitch there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we yarn over twice and then just put your hook through that big gap, so this big gap here, so put it through that gap, then come from behind and through that stitch. So there's your stitch, put your hook in the big gap and come from behind and through that stitch, and then you can turn your work in the opposite direction because it's easier, and then work your treble, pull the yarn through and do the treble like so, and then turn your work back in the opposite direction, and there you go. It creates clean lines. It doesn't get all that top bit there caught up with how you're bringing your yarn through. And just repeat that all the way across. So we skip the next one, and do a double crochet in the next stitch, in the next stitch, and in the next stitch, and find that skipped one which is there, yarn over twice, put your hook through that big gap and go into that stitch from behind like so, then turn your work, bring the yarn through and do your treble, ignoring your project, and then turn back the other way, and then you can see that that's nice and neat. And just repeat that all the way till you get to the end really. So skip one and double crochet in the next 3. It's just coming up to the last one, and what you've got to be careful of is you've got to make sure that that treble is in the front, and you can see those stitches at the back, so make sure it's tucked down the front so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So we do the same again, we skip that next stitch and do 1 double crochet in the last 3. 1, 2 and 3. There you go. And then we do our treble in the skip stitch just the same as before. So yarn over twice, find the big gap, put your hook in the big gap, go through that skip stitch from behind and just work your treble like so. And that is the end of your second row. So there we go. Now we're going to move on to the next row. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're not going to chain 1 again, and we're just going to turn straight away. So just literally you get to the end after doing your treble, then just turn. And again, you should see you have normal stitches at the top, if a little confused. So there we go. So your first stitch is going to be the end of your treble. So when you turn, your first stitch is there at the end of your treble. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see all the normal stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just a little bit, not necessarily straight, but they are normal stitches on the top. So keeping an eye on where your first stitch is, the end of your treble, so there, I'm going to skip that stitch, and we're just going to go skip that one and then go straight into the next stitch and do a double crochet. And again we do our 1 double crochet in the next stitch and in the next stitch as well. So we're still working in units of 4, and then we need to go back and do a treble in our skip stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over twice, turn, find your skipped stitch, so you have to flatten it out a bit. There he is, hidden in there. Just put your hook in there. You don't need to worry about where your yarn's coming through because it's at the end. So we just do our treble as normal, like so. And then we go back and turn and work in the opposite direction. And then we find our next stitch, which is there. We skip that one, and then we do 1 double crochet in the next 3. So skip 1, 1 double crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3, and now we do our treble, yarn over twice, turn, and then again we do a similar thing to what we did on the last row. We need to put our work out of the way, and we need to put our hook through the big hole, so not from behind, we need to put it through that big hole and then come in from the back on that skipped stitch, not slip stitch. So there's our skip stitch. So we put our hook in the big hole, so not from behind, for the big hole, and come through the back of that skipped stitch, and make sure your yarn's at the front as well, and then bring your yarn through, and then just do your treble as normal, which is pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and that means your strange noises outside, and that means that your raised treble is nicely at the front and the top of your work is nice and clean. So then we turn back and do the same thing again. You find the next stitch, skip it, and do 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we do our treble in our skip stitch, and we yarn over twice, turn, find that big hole, and then find your skip stitch underneath it and put your hook for the big hole, come through the back of your skip stitch. Make sure your yarn's at the front, and bring your yarn through, and then do your treble as normal. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then turn and carry on for your next one, and skip the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3. We do our treble, yarn over twice, turn, find the big hole and the skip stitch. Put your hook for the big hole, come for the back of your skip stitch, pull the yarn through and do your treble. Okay. You should see it looks a little like that, and then we just continue all the way to the end and the same thing. Skip the next stitch and 1 double crochet in the next 3. Okay, so when you get to the last 4, it's just the same thing again. Skip the next one, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And there should be one hidden right on the end, like so, and then we yarn over twice, turn, find the gap, put your hook in the gap and come to the back of that skip stitch. Make sure your yarn's at the front, put it through, and then do a treble to finish. And there we go, that's the end of your 3rd row. And as you can see, by making sure not to pull down the top of your work, it keeps your raised trebles nice and neatly on the top. And all we've got to do now is work in the opposite direction. So you probably should have finished like this, and we're just going to not chain one or anything, we're just going to turn straight away, and you just need to find your first stitch, which is always the end of your treble. Let's get the yarn, get the yarn out of the way. So there's your treble going across, so there's your first stitch, which is the end of your treble. So we're going to skip that stitch and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 3. So skip that first one and go into the next one, do 1, 2 and 3. And then what we need to do is to find that skip stitch. Always a little bit hard on the end, but if you find where you've worked your double crochets into, it's just next to it there. So we're going to yarn over twice and then turn your work, find that stitch on the end, and then it doesn't matter where you're pulling through because it's at the end. Do your treble as normal, pulling through 2, then turn back in the opposite direction. And then we need to skip the next stitch, skip one, and do 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we yarn over twice, go back and find your skip stitch, and of course you've got the big gap above it, and we want to put our hook in that big gap, so not from behind. We want to put it in that big gap and go through that skip stitch from behind, and then just work your treble, pulling through 2, pull for 2, pull for 2 as normal, and there you go, you've kept your treble in the front and not gone over the top. It's quite important to do that. So then skip the next one and 1 double crochet in the next 3. You just continue like this all the way across to the other end. 2, 3. Again, being careful when you do your trebles to put your hook for the big gap and then through the back to the front of your skip stitch, and then do your treble. Okay, so I'll continue all the way across till I get to the end, and then I'll just show you the end of that row. Okay, so when you get to the end, you just need to make sure that your treble is nicely down the front so you can see the top of those stitches. There you go, 1, 2, 3 and 4 is just hidden in there. And we're doing the same again, we just skip that next stitch, go into the next one, do a double crochet, one double crochet in the next stitch, then one double crochet in that very last stitch. And again we yarn over twice, find your skip stitch there, find the big gap, put your hook in the big gap, go through that stitch from behind, and just work your treble as normal. So there we go, and then that's the end of row 4. And you can see really nice and neatly, if you've kept to working through the gaps rather than coming in from behind, your treble, raised trebles should be nice and neat. Okay, so well, I hope you managed to follow along that rather unique stitch. And like I said, yeah, I might make this into a cardigan design and write that up as a written pattern. But I hope this has inspired you to try something a little bit different. And again, thank you for subscribing, and I shall see you soon for some more crochet fun. Cheers for watching, guys. Bye!